What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to MJ Hurley Sports. What I have for you today is our Saturday afternoon National Football League video. Today, I'm going to be reviewing the Green Bay Packers 2020 schedule. It came out Thursday evening. There were a lot of leaks beforehand, but the official schedule from the NFL came out Thursday evening, and so now we have that schedule to look at. I'm going to tell you a little bit about why I think the Packers will win or lose every game of their schedule, give you a little bit of my reasoning and insight into what I think is going to happen. Feel free to give me differing comments in the comments section below on what you think the Packers are going to be doing, or tell me what you think your team's record is going to be this season. I'd love to have those discussions in the comments. So first game is Packers at Vikings. This is going to be a rough game for the Packers. We often don't play well under Aaron Rodgers in Minnesota. And so additionally, when the Packers passing game is really motion-based and fluid-based. So what I mean by that is it's very based off of timing and fluidity. Rodgers, three-step drop, throws a slant to Davante Adams. And so when that timing isn't there in the first game very often, it's a little bit rough for the Packers, especially in Minnesota when they still have a pretty good defense, still have a pretty good front four. And so I believe Aaron Rodgers will struggle in that game. There's going to be a lot of eyes on Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love, and Matt LaFleur to begin the season. I think that will get to Aaron Rodgers a little bit in the first game. After that, he should be okay in terms of pressure. I do think the Packers lose Week 1 against Minnesota in Minnesota. Week 2, Lions come to Green Bay. I am not worried about that game at all. I think Green Bay comes out on top in that game easily in Week 2. Now, Week 3 is where it starts to get a little bit interesting. Packers go to New Orleans Week 3, prime time on a Sunday night. I do think that the Packers will win this game. They play a very different style of football than the New Orleans Saints do. The Saints, backed by Drew Brees, Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, they like to play shootout football and rely more on their offense than their defense. The Packers have been moving towards more of a run-based, play-action-based, and defense-heavy game and game plan. So with that in mind, I think the Packers and Saints, their styles are going to clash. I do think that Aaron Rodgers is going to come out in that quarterback battle between Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees. Ultimately, I think the Packers come out on top. It'll be a close game, but I do think the Packers will win, putting them at 2-1 on the season. Third game is going to be the Green Bay Packers against the Atlanta Falcons in Green Bay on Monday Night Football. So 2 back-to-back primetime games for the Green Bay Packers. Ultimately, I am not really worried about Matt Ryan coming to Green Bay. I mean, yeah, they have Todd Gurley now, so they have a quote-unquote big three of Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, and Todd Gurley, but I'm really not that scared. Their defense is still not very good. They still don't really have depth at a lot of positions, so ultimately, I'm not scared about that game. I think the Packers are going to start off the season very well at 3-1. Now, the next game, I'm not really sure about. I've recorded this a couple times. I mess up, re-record, whatever, and so I kind of have changed my mind each time. Week 5 is the Packers in Tampa Bay, Sunday afternoon game, America's Game of the Week on Fox, 3:25 p.m. kickoff. I'm not really sure who's going to win this game. My gut says Aaron Rodgers, because I think Aaron Rodgers has more to prove in this quarterback battle than Tom Brady does. Everybody already kind of knows that Tom Brady is one of the best, if not the best quarterback of all time, and arguably the best player of all time in NFL history. Aaron Rodgers has more to prove. He's only won 1 Super Bowl. There's a lot of attention on him. And so I think Aaron Rodgers will kind of take over this game, make a lot of audibles into passing plays. I think Aaron Rodgers, you could easily see him throw over 40 passes in this game. I think Tom Brady is going to start going into shootout mode as well. It's going to be a fascinating game to watch. I do believe the Packers are going to come out on top simply because the Buccaneers defense is much worse as we see it right now than the Packers defense. I think the Smith brothers get to Tom Brady, the speed off the edge that the Packers have that the Buccaneers don't. That's going to come up big, come up clutch for the Packers, and I think we're going to come away with a win Week 5 against Tampa Bay. That puts us at 4-1. Next week, Green Bay Packers at the Houston Texans. I'm not happy about this game. I don't think it's going to go well for the Packers. I think J.J. Watt is going to get to Aaron Rodgers early and often. I think Deshaun Watson is going to carve up the Packers defense. I don't see this game going well for the Packers. That would put us at 4-2, still probably best in the division at that point. Then we have the next game, November 1st, a noon kickoff in Green Bay. Vikings coming to town. I'm not worried about this game. The Vikings do not do well in Green Bay, same way that we don't do well in Minnesota. So I think we're going to win that game. That puts the Packers at 5-2 going into what will probably be our worst matchup of the entire season. And I'm going to be brutally honest. We have a Thursday night matchup. So we have short rest coming off of a game against division rival Minnesota. Just to be clear, we have a stretch of Tampa Bay, Houston, Minnesota, and then San Francisco. So we're going to San Francisco. To be honest, we're going to get our butts kicked. It's not going to go well, I don't think. It's going to put the Packers at 5-3. However, then we go into a bit of an easier stretch. We have a game at home on 10 days rest against the Jaguars. I do believe that's going to be an easy game for the Packers. Then that puts them at 6-3, still I think leading the division, at worst tied for the division lead at that point. Then the Packers go to Indianapolis. I'm not sure how that team is going to look, but what I'm looking at right now, I think the Green Bay Packers win that game against the Colts. Phillip Rivers doesn't really scare me at this point in his career. He has a lot of weapons around him. Their defense is always pretty good, but I really do think that Aaron Rodgers has the edge in that matchup against Phillip Rivers. That Colts team, just after Andrew Luck left, they have not looked the same, and I don't think that Phillip Rivers is the guy to save football in Indianapolis. So I do believe we will win that game. That should put us at 7-3, definitely leading the division at that point. Then in the last 6 weeks, the Packers and Bears play twice. That will be very key to the division. The Packers are definitely going to need to win both of those games. Also, sorry if it looks like I'm not looking at the camera, because I'm recording on my computer as I always do, and I have the schedule on my computer in front of me. I'm not doing this off the top of my head. If you think I can remember the 16-game schedule off the top of my head, respect to you, I can't do that. Then we have the Bears coming to Green Bay. It is a Sunday night football game, again, prime time. The Bears do not do well in Green Bay on prime time. I think we're going to win that game, put us at 8-3. Then the Eagles come to town. I don't think that game is going to go well for the Packers. That is December football. I don't know how well the Packers are going to be playing at that point. I think we might get a little bit too comfortable at that point. I believe I have us at 8-3, and I think the Packers usually get a little too comfortable at one point in the season, get their butts kicked. I think this is going to be the game that happens. So that puts the Packers at 8-4, still probably leading the division or tied for the lead if the Vikings or Bears are having a very good season. Then in the last 4 weeks, we have the Lions in Detroit, Panthers at home, Titans at home, and Bears in Chicago, last game of the season. The Lions game, not worried about. That puts us in 9-4. Panthers coming to town, also not worried. I don't know why, but that's a to-be-determined time slot for that game. I don't know why that is, but it says December 20th, to be determined. Not sure why, but we'll see when that game actually happens, what time of day. I guess it's just a flex game depending on how good the Panthers are, maybe. I'm not sure. But I do believe that the Packers are going to be okay there, putting us at 10-4. Titans are going to come to town. I'm not loving that game. However, I do believe in Aaron Rodgers over Ryan Tannehill. I think Derrick Henry is fantastic, but we've done a lot better at securing the run in the last couple of years. We put a lot of emphasis into that in terms of our defensive front in the last couple of years. I do think the Packers are going to win that game. That puts us sitting at 11-4 going into the last week against the Bears. I think the Packers are going to have the division clinched at that point. I don't think that game is going to matter. We're going to rest up, go into Chicago. They're going to take the win, and I believe that puts the Packers at 11-5 at the end of the season. Probably a 3 seed in the NFC, 3 or 4 seed will win the division. I doubt that the Packers are going to get a bye this season. Even though I'm a Packers fan, I'm not that optimistic. Even last year, I didn't think the Packers were going to get a bye until we ended up getting a first-round bye, 2nd seed last season behind the San Francisco 49ers. So that is what I think is going to happen with the Packers schedule in 2020. Let me know if there are any games you disagree with. Let me know what you think your team is going to do. Give me a heads up in the comments what you think. If you're a Bears fan, what do you think the Bears are going to do? If you're a Colts fan, what do you think the Colts are going to do? Let me know. I'd love to engage in those discussion in the comments. As always, please like, subscribe. I think it's like 80% of the people who watch my videos are not subscribed, so I'd really love it if you could subscribe just to show me that you guys are enjoying these videos. I enjoy making them a lot. I enjoy talking about sports. Hopefully you guys are enjoying listening. So thank you for listening. I always am going to be taking Sunday off just because of the way my schedule is structured. I will be back Monday with my podcast. That will be on YouTube, also on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all that good stuff. So check out the podcast on Monday. Hopefully you guys are having a good weekend. As always, stay safe, stay inside, cover your mouth when you cough, wash your hands, all that good jazz. Listen to the CDC, listen to the doctors, because we want live sports. I really want live sports. So stay safe, stay inside, y'all, so we can get this done with as fast as possible and get back to the NFL. Hopefully the NFL will start as scheduled. And now I'm going to stop rambling, roll the outro. See y'all later.